We are just there, right there, guys. Last push. So, but no need to shake, ne? We have Asitandile Peyana to give you the tips so you can get to that exam venue and know what you are doing before you even read that paper, before you even read those instructions, guys. So I'm proud to introduce a UJenius Club member, ne? A ABASA UJ debate team member. So please don't try to argue with her while she's presenting, because I was there at her last debate. Hey guys, you don't want to do that. So please help me welcome Asitandile Peyana.
Hi. Hello. Oh, hello, guys. I don't know if I'm audible.
Yeah, we can hear you, Asi.
I'm audible first
Yes.
before I start speaking. Okay, that's great. I'm privileged to be here. Thank you guys for inviting me. I think I'll just start with an introduction first, and then I'll go on to everything else. So my name is Asitandile Peyana. Actually, a very good way of pronouncing it. Our director here. I'm proud. I'm proud. As I don't know how other people get mistaken with pronouncing it badly or something, but you did quite well. Thank you for that. So yeah, my name is Asitandile Peyana, and as he said, I'm a UJenius Club member and part of the ABASA UJ debating team as well. I am doing my second year in BAC, which is Bachelor of Accounting at UJ. Yeah, so in other universities it's called accounting science, but here we stick to BAC, so because it's proper. And whenever you say you're doing BAC, everyone here is always like, "Oh my gosh, BAC, how do you feel?" I'm like, guys, I'm fine. What else? What else am I gonna say, right? Yeah. So, uh, to not drag on the time longer because time is of the essence, I just want to maybe go into a bit as to why or what inspired me to pursue a career in accounting before going into the study tips. So, for me specifically, the reason why I pursued accounting is because of entrepreneurship, just like how Mr. Retimeti was talking about entrepreneurship and problem solving and the crisis that South Africa has in regards to the the unemployment rate, the high unemployment rate, right? And from a young age, I was always like, I do not like that. I don't like the fact that people don't have jobs. And I don't know, my uncles are here looking for little piece jobs. I really was not comfortable with that. And I was never comfortable really with working for anyone as well. So I was like, accounting is a very, very nice way to get into the business field, but without doing something in business, right? So my aim in joining accounting was in doing accounting per se was to learn the skills that is needed that are needed to run a business, to run a proper organization, the details behind it, because personally I wouldn't want to start a business and not know what's the things like accounting behind it. Also, because like accounting is nice, just saying. For all the other people who say accounting is not nice, I know us here as accounting students, we know accounting is nice, guys. So yeah, I like that. I want to enter into the business field using accounting. And that's why I'm here in accounting, because I wanted to change how South Africa was in terms of the economy, because I saw a lot of opportunity when it comes to small businesses. There's big businesses, yes, but something big starts small. And the issue with us is that we neglect the small businesses and we focus on the big ones. That's the reason why you see many people in South Africa supporting many, supporting many international brands, international companies, but never their own local brands or local things. And that saddens me, honestly, as an African by myself, because I'm like, how do you guys want to build the economy and yet you are building someone else's economy and not your own? You understand? So yeah, that's the reason why I'm here in accounting, because I just want to change that whole trajectory, right? Because I was like, we need to shift our focus now and focus on the small businesses that we have, because if you're able to focus on those small businesses, then you're able to inspire more people to start things like that and grow our economy, right? Um, Before going on to the study tips, first of all, I wanted to mention that when it comes to accounting, right, we get so focused, and I've seen this as well with my peers who come into university and how everyone reacts to our different modules now. Disclaimer to all the high school students: accounting in varsity is very theory based. Very, very theory based. It's not calculations as we all thought it was. You get here and you guys have to be, you have like this, I'm so sorry. It hurts me deeply. But anyways, so basically my point to say was what AI is doing right now, in terms of AI is doing what general accountants could do, or bookkeepers could do, and I'm sure everyone knows that. But the reason why I'm explaining it is because that's supposed to shift how you study and how you take in information, right? Because in accounting we learn to make journals, to write up statements, to do all those things. But since the inception of AI, in terms of accounting and in the commerce field, you then see that accountancy or accountants are not just number crunchers anymore. Because if you still see yourself as a number cruncher, then you're going to become obsolete. You understand? You won't be needed anymore. Because if you do not understand your concepts, if you don't study to know what's happening, and all you're doing is cramming in the formula, all you're doing is knowing that this belongs there and this belongs there. The reason why you're learning all these things in accounting is so that you know how they came about, you know why that was done, but you're not going to be the one to do that. Okay, many small companies right now have their own softwares, their Sage. You understand? Because in high school, I would do part-time work at my dad's office. He has an accounting firm, so I do part-time work at his office, uh, you know, during holidays, and I saw how everything has changed. You know, they don't need accountants to go and do their books, right? They don't need you to go and write it up, from scratch. They don't need you to go and look at the invoices and put the invoices in individually anymore. They don't need you to do that. And that's the difference now in how you're supposed to approach studying. Something I realized. Because if all you're going to do is learn that those ratios, how I do them, you're cramming everything in, because that's what we do. You cram everything in. You say that I know that I'm supposed to calculate this like this. This is how I'm going to do it in the paper, straight verbatim. In high school, for example, you take a lot from the past papers and you're like, okay, I'm going to practice the past papers like this. I'm just going to come out exactly like this in the paper and I'll do it. But if you do that, you're kind of only setting yourself up for failure as time goes on, especially when you get to varsity and you realize that you just need to know why things are done the way they're done, because even with us, our textbooks are big and they're fat and they're huge. All words, okay, all words. You know why? Because in the textbook, you learn how things are done and then you apply it. You see, you don't learn, you don't like, you learn and then you apply afterwards. So just get on to the study tips as well. First of all, I just want to say that study tips, it's not a one size fits all type of thing, right? That's the that's the misunderstanding I had in high school, where I thought that I could just take this person's study tips and what they do and I'm doing myself and it's supposed to work, but it may not work because we study differently. Our brain works differently. We all have different neurological pathways, right? And there's different ways you're supposed to do things. Certain different types of modules sorry, not modules, subjects. Yes, subjects even require different, they require different ways of studying, you know. For example, I did life science in high school, right? I did life science and accounting because they did not have a proper, you know, package, commerce package. So I could have been somewhere in health sciences right now, just saying. But I'm here pushing numbers. And one thing I saw in me doing life science and accounting and business and as maths as well is that you know, the way you study is different. The way you're gonna need to approach your stuff is different. So one thing my dad has always told me, one thing I'm gonna start with as the base is to understand the concepts. And I say understand the concepts, I mean understand what you're doing and what you're doing it when you are studying, right? Because if you want to be able to go and study and want to be able to go and write and get distinctions, then you need to know how to do what you're going to do and why it is done like that. In what circumstances does it apply? Because if you know why you're doing something and if you know how it's supposed to be done, then you'll be able to deal with it, whatever question is posed and thrown at you. You know, the sad part about it is that some of these things I only realized later on, especially when I entered varsity, because that varsity forced me to change everything, change how I studied because it was not going to work here. So yeah, understand the concepts of what you're studying, and that means asking yourself questions like, okay, why am I doing this? For example, why am I debiting this? Why am I creating this? Why is this expense? Why is this an asset? You know, why does it fit the definition? If it does, why? You know, be able to apply it in real life situations. Okay, I have this, but let's say, for example, if I was the business owner, how would I do this? Okay. If I was the business owner, would this make sense to me? Okay. You know, those type of things. You need to ask yourself questions to engage your brain in what you're doing. That should not be a thing where there shouldn't be a thing where you're just doing it because you have to, because we don't want you cramming things in and then afterwards forgetting it. Because the sad thing about it is when it comes to accounting, you will get tested on things. It's like a snowball effect when it comes to accounting, because you know that in September you're going to be tested on things you studied in term 1 and term 2 and now term 3, not just term 3 only, right? So if you don't understand what you are doing and why it's done, and you cram to forget, then by the time you are writing your third, not third, sorry, I'm in my varsity era right now, you know, third test. When you're writing your other test, your prelims, your exams, you know, then you're gonna have to re-study everything, re-understand everything, and it's gonna take a lot of time, and then it's gonna put you under pressure, and then you're gonna be stressed, and then you'll be drinking bioplast to stay awake at 2 a.m. in the morning, and then you'll be drinking energy drinks as well to stay awake at 2 a.m. in the morning, and then you wonder why you're getting all drained, and you wonder why you are feeling overwhelmed by schoolwork, and you wonder why you can't enjoy school. But that's because you did that to yourself when you were studying. You weren't studying effectively, right? So it's a whole thing of studying effectively and efficiently, not just for time purposes, but also for like lifelong learning, because you are going to need the information later on. Don't put it in a box and then spill it out afterwards. Also something also that I learned is spaced repetition. Nah, because I'm sure when you say accounting, it also mean things like business studies, and because it's commerce in itself, you know, spaced repetition allows you to kind of reinforce what you are learning on a periodical basis, right? So what you're doing is that instead of trying to cram everything in a day or in 2 days, you know, and then that would obviously give you a lot of stress. And some things are, you're working with FIFO. Yes, yes. I remember we were talking about this when I was writing auditing. when you're studying, sometimes it feels as though your brain is doing FIFO automatically, first in, first out. Whatever you studied yesterday, it's out now, but you still need it for Monday, you know? And you're trying to keep everything in, but it's not staying. Like it's going as you're studying. So yeah, spaced repetition is a very good way to fight against FIFO. Because I'm just gonna say it's FIFO. I don't like it, but it happens. What happens is with spaced repetition is that, and it doesn't have to be too long, you know, but you're basically fighting against the memory curve, because as you study, you retain it and then you lose it as time goes on. But when you are like repeating it over time, you are reinforcing it in your mind. So for example, if today I'm studying, sorry, I forgot things for high school, so I'll just say things that I do. If today, for example, I'm doing ethics in auditing, right? I'm doing ethics, and then tomorrow I have to study the Companies Act. Before starting the Companies Act, I will revise on what I was doing in ethics first to remind myself, or would say, okay, I did ethics, I studied ethics. So I studied ethics last night. I'm revising it again this morning. I carry on with what I am supposed to be doing today. Cool. The next day, I do the same thing, but for Companies Act, right? But then I do, I I remind myself about ethics later on. So whole thing of leaving space in between your repetitions. So if you study it today, revise it tomorrow, leave a day, revise it that next day, leave 2 days, revise it then, right? It requires you to start earlier, which helps you get better prepared. You know, you're basically telling your brain, this is important, keep it. Yeah. And the brain is like, are you sure? And every single time you're repeating it, you keep on telling your brain, this is important, keep it. And your brain will keep it in. And the more you repeat it, the better you'll be able to understand it as well. You know, spaced repetition is a very good way to learn things such as theoretical concepts, right? And it doesn't have to be too long. Sometimes I have to fight with my brain because, you know, time. I don't have time. I have to study for auditing in a day. So sorry, in a day. But that's not me, guys. That's because of how our test schedules were looking. So I had like 2 days to study 14 chapters. Now you wonder how you do that in 2 days, 14 chapters. I see. Space repetition, like I said, you know, you study a topic, you carry on to the other one, revise the other one. All you have to do is just keep on repeating. You see that chunking as well. You have this stack of work to do, and what you do is you put them all into specific little sections and what they relate to. One thing about accounting is that every single thing relates to each other. You can't work with things in isolation or else you'll get lost. And then you will get lost and then you're going to feel overwhelmed as time goes on. So never work in isolation with things. Rather, link everything together. So when I do my chunking, I say that, okay, these are the topics that go with these topics, and then they go with these topics. So you're linking, you basically have to study everything, but one thing at a time. I don't know if you get me, but it does. Also, let me try and be quick, because time is going. Ask questions. Ask questions. I'm sure, but then you guys have tutors. You guys have tutors. That means you guys are good at asking questions. Some of us weren't. Some of us are still not, but we're learning. You know, we're learning. Asking questions does not make you stupid. Asking questions requires a lot of killing of pride. You know, asking questions is good because you are an understanding of the fact that you may not be the best, but you're not stupid, but you may not be the best. So, and also, as Mr. Retumeti had said as well, Uguti, how do you say it now? Yeah, but like you ask things about the future from the ones who are there, right? So you want advice, you want to help, then ask people who know what they're doing, who have done these things before. Ask questions. Don't ever be scared of asking questions. Your peers. Sometimes it's better to ask your peers than to ask your teachers. I remember in high school, somehow my classmates used to say that I explained my accounting concept, the accounting concepts better than my teacher, right? So sometimes it happened that no one understands what he's saying, right? And then now I try and explain, and they're like, "Oh, okay, cool." So it's a whole thing of being able to ask questions to also your peers, because just because they're your age mate does not mean you'll know the same thing. You get me? Yeah. So it's just that be able to ask questions, be open to receiving advice, be open to receiving help. Help is good. Trust and believe. Something else I also want to add as well that I think I forgot is explanations. You need to be able to explain to yourself. Usually they say you need to be able to explain to stuff like a 5-year-old, like how you'd explain to a 5-year-old. And if you can't, it means that you can't explain, because it means that you don't know what you are doing. So one thing I can say is, when it comes to your concepts and what you are studying, be able to explain to yourself. Sometimes we look crazy speaking to yourself in public, especially when you're studying in public. Trust me, I've gotten eyes before, and okay, no, I'll get back to the questions. Let me finish first. Yeah, so you need to be able to explain to yourself what you are studying, basically. Explain the concepts to yourself. Let yourself understand. Understand as a student, understand as a business person, understand as a consumer, right? Understand why these things would work and how these things relate to each other, because accounting is broader than just your balance sheet. Accounting is way broader than just your income statement. So if you're able to really gauge the concept of what you're doing, then you well on your way to getting distinctions. And one thing my dad taught me when I was back in high school is to do examples first. Sometimes we rush to go and do the question papers and to do the question papers, basically, or other questions that our teacher gives us. Go to your textbook, that you're studying with, and do the examples there. They're there for a reason. They may seem very trivial or small, and you're like, no, but I know this concept. Let me carry on. Do it. Don't do it until you get it right. Do it until you can't get it wrong. Okay? Practice until you can't get it wrong. Like, know that concept, know why you do it, and be able to apply it as you go on. So after you finish your examples, then you can go on to the other more complicated questions. Because if you're able to finish the simple ones in a short span of time, and you know how you did everything, you see that, then you can carry on to the bigger things as well. So yeah, man. Yeah, I think when it comes to studying, honestly, it's a matter of working hard. I know people say work smart and not hard, but you can't work smart without working hard first, right? The issue is that sometimes you want to work smart by using other people's smart measures. You understand that. And yet you're not catering to yourself. You are not catering to your needs and not catering to how you study. You are taking what they have and you are using it for yourself. And then you wonder why you can't work smart. It's because you're not doing it for yourself. You are copying. You're copying and pasting, which case it's not bad. But for you to be able to work smart, you need to first be able to work hard enough to see where you're going wrong, how you are going wrong, what mistakes are you doing, yeah, be able to do that. And the issue with working hard is that it takes a lot. It takes a lot out of you, Many people these days like to say, no, take care of your mental health, sleep. I'm not going to say don't. Yes, take care of your mental health. It's very important, because you can't study on a mind that's not fully peaceful, right? Because when you're studying, you're supposed to be focusing, but your mind is in Disneyland, or your mind is is somewhere else in the clouds, right? Be able to focus and concentrate, and that needs you to have a good mental state, right? A good mental state. And as Mr. Richmiti has said as well, time management. Time management is important. I wish I learned it back when I was in high school, but I didn't. But now I teach my sister to do so. So I think that's good because now they will. I never did, but they will. And time management is not hard to keep, but discipline all starts with yourself. One thing I learned when I came to varsity is that you don't do things for other people, do it for yourself. When it comes to things like time management and saving money, as he had said, it's all about discipline. Discipline builds character. You understand? It builds character because in the world, you are not your marks. Okay. In the real world, you are not your marks. Your marks are on paper, and that's great. But we need to see other things as well, because after high school, you're coming into varsity, you are working to be an employable person. My loves, you're working to be an employable person, and that means you need to build character in terms of discipline, build character in terms of being able to save, build character in terms of yourself, and all the things that you're doing. So discipline, time management, plan ahead what you're going to study at that time, in that particular time. Plan ahead. Don't just jump into doing things. Okay, plan what you're going to study, and then after planning what you're going to study, make sure that you are focused. And so I'm talking because I think I ran out of time. I didn't time myself, but I think I ran out of time. Yeah, so do so. Time yourself. Practice makes perfect, as people say, and as I say as well. Practice makes perfect. You can't not practice, okay? Because yeah, oh my gosh, my lecturer said to me, "Don't be scared of repeating questions." I'm not sure if anyone else had to hear that, but I did, and it helped, because I was scared of repeating questions. Because I was like, I've done this before, and then I've gotten everything right, but I've done it, so what's the point? Repeat the question until you know exactly why you got things wrong, until you get it right properly. Okay, repeat the question. It's okay. No one else is watching you. Also, last thing that I want to add is that your only competition is yourself. Your only competition is yourself. It's you getting better day by day. It's not you trying to match with people. Sometimes what happens is when you do that, you look down on yourself, right? Which case it could be quite a good study motivation, toxically in a sense. I mean, I'm not very against toxic study motivation, but your only competition is yourself. Who you are yesterday is not the same person you are today. And the little choices that you make every single day are building up to who you want to become, right? And like we said, accountants, guys, we're very important in the industry, but the importance we are is only about how you make it. So if you are only going to be studying, and if you're only going to be studying, like how cramming and stuff, then you are only devaluing yourself as an accountant because you need to know how things are done. You need to be able to tell a customer or a client how they're supposed to do this. You need to be able to give them advice. Yes, so learn to give yourself advice so you can give others advice, because accountancy is going into what can I say, into a consultancy type of thing, right? And that means you need to be able to tell people why their statements are like this, why their statements are like that, you know, why it doesn't work. So be able to know what happens behind the scenes of your balance sheet and your income statement, okay? And know what's happening in the world right now. Please, it's very important as an accountant. But I think my time is fast spent. And I do have other points, but I don't want to take too much of your guys' time. So I think that's it from me right now. So I don't take it too much time. Thank you guys for listening. I wish you guys luck as well. But if you guys have any questions, you can still ask. I mean, but I'm gonna leave that to the director to say. Me, I'm just a guest speaker. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Your time management was as impeccable as you're advising our people here to do. So just to say, guys, if you have any questions, please make sure we will attend to your questions. We will make sure that after our last speaker comes through and delivers all his stuff, that we answer your questions rightly and sharply, so we can attend to them timely, right? So for now, please, and also please don't be shy, because we are here, besides the resources that you'll be getting from the speakers that they want to give to you guys, right? We have, from this event, our beloved tutors have prizes for you all. One of them is that you can get an opportunity to get free tutoring and mentorship, so we can help you apply what you've learned today. So please make sure that you keep your questions with you, write them down somewhere. We'll make sure to get to your questions. So, hey, guys, I was listening. I didn't speak as much this time, Neymar. I was listening. And I don't know if you all have been noticing what I've been noticing here. Just two speakers already, and all I'm hearing is trend of discipline, discipline, discipline. Guys, it's very important. As much as it's been emphasized today, you need discipline, not just in your studies, guys, not just for accounting, in life in general, guys. Because if you're undisciplined, you won't get to the things that you have to do. Okay. I see. I will open up the floor for you to answer the question that we have. So I'm not sure who it was from. I believe it was in the chat. So if the person is all right, can you please open up your mic, ask your question, then Asi will definitely get to you.
Hi.
Okay.
Okay, so
Hi.
I usually struggle with my paper one in mostly the balance sheet. So I just wanted to ask, how can I effectively study for paper one?
Oh, that's the question.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for your question, Mr. Christmas and Festival Lights. Oh, Miss, I'm so sorry. So first of all, I just want to say now, before I even start answering, that I am 2 years out of high school. I forgot how paper one accounting is. But what I can say is, because you mentioned, your balance sheets and all those stuff. My love, it's all practice, it's all practice. So I think one thing you need to do is identify the type of transactions that you're dealing with. One thing I've seen when it comes to those papers, paper one, paper two, accounting in general, is that, when it comes to balance sheets and income statements, right, is that the questions are not so different. They're different how they ask them, right? But they're kind of repetitive in a sense. So your additional information when it comes to your income statements or your balance sheet, those transactions you'll learn in class, and they carry on throughout each year. For example, bad debts, okay, not doubtful debts, bad debts, insurance expenses, those type of things. And all you have to do is know how to treat a particular transaction, right? So I got this advice this one time where it said, when you study for something, yeah, you're studying, you're going through your additional information, and you find, or you answer a question, you find it right, write for yourself a recipe for how you will approach that question, right? Write yourself a recipe for how you will approach calculating cost of sales. Write yourself a recipe for how you're going to approach things like bad debts. Give yourself a strategy. It's all about strategy, because you can't just go and try and figure everything out in the paper. You're going to lose your mind, okay? And you're going to be all panicking in that paper. And the time in itself is crazy. We don't want you panicking as well and not have time. We waste a lot of time in our papers panicking because We don't plan beforehand what to do. So all I can say is that you need to be able to plan ahead how you are going to approach a certain type of transaction, right? Because we deal with transactions in terms of our balance sheets and all those things. Know how to approach each transaction, why you approach transaction like that. One thing I always learned to do was to understand it from the point of the business person. So I guess it's usually you as a company, right? It's usually you as a company. So you need to be able to approach it in that sense. You see that? So look at all of your additional information, look at all of your transactions, the different types. The transactions don't change, guys. They don't. Electricity and water, look, it's gonna be there. Bad debts, it's gonna be there. What salaries and wages, those things, they're gonna be there. All you need to know is know how to approach each one of them. You understand? You should give yourself a recipe for how you are going to deal with it in the way that you understand, in the way that's going to give you the best results for all of them. And then, and then just apply it when you get to the paper. Yeah. And that's all I can say from my memory of paper one.
Thank you so much.
All right. I hope you answered.
Thank you.
I'm seeing a hand that is raised. I'm not sure what your name is. I can't say it properly, but please do unmute yourself and ask.
Princess.
Hey, Princess.
Princess.
Oh, I think we have a problem with your mic.
Princess.
Princess, please do type your question in the chat. Okay. Are you trying again? Okay, yeah, we can't hear you. Princess, please do type your message in the chat. We will definitely get to your question. Asi, if you don't mind, please do stick around in the chat and just see if you can answer a question.
Okay.
Lovely, guys. Okay. I know, guys, I'm learning a lot. I hope you are, because this section was specifically catered to you and it's directly linked to you right now. I think it's the most relevant part. Mara, there's an even better part coming for you guys just now. Because let me introduce you to Mr. 6 times distinctions in Matric. Guys, you can even see from his profile picture, this guy did not play, guys.